Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We just got done checking out one of the oldest Lepers songs on the channel, which I was quite enthused about. Rather lengthy video if you want to check it out. Link is up there. Today, or right now, we're going to be doing a special selection, which is where one of you guys tells me exactly what you want me to check out, and I do it. Today's request comes at us from Gideon Gluckman. Special request, Sunset Rubdown, the song Idiot Heart. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Or right now. I gotta stop saying that. Doing 2 videos a day. We're doing things now, not just today. Alright, so let's dive into this. This is a pretty interesting album art right here. And I have no idea. I've never even heard of the band Sunset Rubdown, much less do I have any idea what kind of music I'm in for. So, yeah, let's get into this. Heavily left pans. Alright, the right side's coming in now. Yeah, a little bit of rhythmic variation on that. The straight eighth notes, now we have accents. This is a very rhythmically oriented intro, and I'm really digging it because we don't have any percussion yet. Lots of reverb.
Can you run as fast as this house will fall when the alarm bell sounds? No, I was never much of a dancer, but I know enough to know you gotta move your idiot body around, and you can't settle down until the idiot in your blood settles down.
So many fake intros. Let's get into this.
So move around.
Ooh. You got some bells. It sounds like a glockenspiel. Again, though, another rhythmic element to the song. Not a lot of melodic elements. Very interesting mix, too. This melody line is not centered, it's right pans. Got some sort of pad going in, that's left pans. Yeah, with a really cool step descending as well with 2 notes. So you get all these, we get these dyads that are actually remnants of older dyads. Really interesting hearing the new context of those.
Can't settle down until the Icarus in your blood drowns. I said if I was a horse, I would throw up the reins if I was you.
Yeah, some really cool vocalization.
So look at you go. Oh, look at you go. Oh, look at you go.
Yeah, some really cool call and response there with a new vocalist as well. Got a new timbre in there. Bass just throwing down those 8th notes. And that drum part there is interesting. got the bells back. We got a new pad tone. Yeah, a lot of tension here. Really working in some elements of dissonance. Not heavy. Bringing it all together now. We have the open drum pattern with some of the guitar elements we just heard. All the vocalists are back. Yeah, so for a brief moment there, I got a very heartbeat sounding idea from that bass kick. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I don't think I don't think I paid attention to that time. 6 minutes. I kind of figured around the 3 or 4 minute mark that the song was going to be fairly one note. A big chunk of the intro was that slow burn, where we had the eighth notes, just the non-accented eighth notes on the guitar, and then an electric guitar with a little bit of overdrive or distortion on it, providing a rhythmic element of constant eighth notes. And then we had the drum come in, and I think there was another instrument. Oh, I think it was another overdriven guitar that played like two notes, both of them accents, and they were like on the and of beats. And it was creating this really interesting rhythmic ground or sound floor. And then the singing was over that, and we had this build up, and then we brought it back down. We tore it down a little bit, and then we built back up again in a different order, which was really cool. We got a little bit of variation on that idea. And I kind of figured that's what this song was going to be, probably because we just got done listening to quite a few songs like that. I think it was last week when we did short songs. We had quite a few songs that were built on a single idea, and seeing how far they could stretch it and what ways they could, keep it interesting while still retaining this sound floor, this basic foundational work. But yeah, there was definitely a point in there when we hit like our second and third and then our fourth different section. I'm like, oh man, this song just keeps going, and it's a slow evolution. I'm really digging it. So yeah, I was taken off a little bit by that. I mentioned while we were listening to it, but it bears repeating. The song is heavily rhythmic. I don't know if that's their style or if it's just what was employed for this song, but there is a lot of rhythmic and textural elements here. Not really too strong working within the melodic. That's not to say that there aren't melodic sections or melodic ideas or melodic complexity. It does exist here and there, but I would say the meat of this song is the way that they work in rhythmic elements to all the instruments. And if I had to bet, I would say that whoever wrote the song, or at least had the most influence on the composition, is a rhythmic oriented person. They're probably a drummer. And I've mentioned before that there's really two sides to writing music. You're either a rhythmic oriented one or you're a melodic harmonic oriented one. There's definitely a lot of people who can do both, but I would say even the people who do both well still typically lean or are more comfortable in one or the other. Me, for example, I am really great at writing melodies and harmonies. Rhythmic elements always are quite difficult for me, and as those who have listened to what I've written in the composition jam on the Discord server, when I do include drums, it's more like another melody rather than a rhythmic element or something laying down the meter or the feel of the section. They really are playing more melodic lines, and it's just what feels more natural for me to write. So, we've also talked about this. I can't think of his name, and I'm a little upset about that. But the drummer for The Police, who went on to write some soundtracks, we checked out. Oh, he also did some solo albums, but we checked out one of his solo albums, and we checked out a song from. He wrote the soundtrack to the original Spyro the Dragon video game. Um, And it was really interesting because we could hear, just like this, melodic instruments used very rhythmically. The rhythmic quality was more interesting or more on display than the melodic aspects of these pitched instruments. So we can hear that again here, where it's not really about what notes are being played. A lot of the instruments are kind of not playing a lot of notes. One of those guitars just plays two notes. That's what notes they pick isn't as important as when they play them. The rhythmic elements of all of these lines are what's interesting, especially when they're overlaid on top of each other. And we get these really interesting, complex rhythmic lines, rhythmic sections. Just taking the beginning, we already went through this, but I want to, dig into this again. We have two instruments playing straight eighth notes, just constant, laying down the eighth notes. One has no accent. Without any other instrument, which is actually how the song starts, it's really difficult to get a feel for the time. A lot of us naturally are probably going to start listening to it in 4/4 because that's common time. It's what a lot of songs, especially in the modern era, are written in. And it isn't really until that second guitar comes in and gives us accents that we can feel out how long these bars should be. And, it solidifies the fact it's in 4/4. But it isn't until then that we can get a feel for the actual meter of the song. The next instrument that comes in changes up which beats are accented. We get more accent on different beats, which creates this juxtaposition with the metric element of the song. I would say that the only pure melodic elements in the song are the vocals. They're the only ones that seem to really be written with the melody in mind and sort of the shape of the melody and how it looks and unfolds and feels rather than the way that it fits in with the rest of the song rhythmically. So even just from the start, we can see that. And then the other interesting thing was we had this specific layering. I mentioned we had the muted guitar, the electric guitar doing the eighth notes, the electric guitar doing 2 notes per bar, give or take, then the drums, and then the vocals. We brought it back down. We deconstructed it back down to those eighth notes again with no accent. And we applied these different layers in a different order this time. And I love that. Just a little bit of variation can really change it up. It makes the entire section, at least until we have everything on the table again, feel different. It evolves in a different manner, which gives the entire section a different feel. I also really enjoyed that when we put everything back together, they did another variation and introduced a new voice. I believe that was when the first pad sound came in, the synthesizer tone. I think it was kind of airy. It sounded like a digital flute almost. I think that was the first time that appeared. So even though we had got to the point where we're like, hey, I've heard this section before. They're like, no, 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 you ain't heard it like this. We got something new. And I love this idea of variation, even though it's subtle. They're always adding something new. The second time we hit the chorus, they added a call and response. They put a female vocal in to do call and response and harmonies with the primary vocalist. It's the little changes. Nothing in here is ever the same as it was before, even if a lot of it is similar. And I think that's phenomenal. Um, but then we hit the second half of the song, and it's kind of rapid fire changes. We just went through 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes of taking one concept and building it and taking it apart and building it in different ways and adding some embellishments here and there, and really taking one concept and expanding it. And now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to change concepts left and right. We're always going to be doing something different here. And I think that's interesting. And I wonder how that goes along with the song and the lyrical themes. Unfortunately, as usual, it's not something I'm picking up. There's a lot of things to listen to in a song. I don't think I've mentioned this before. There's a lot of instruments to listen to in a song, so I don't always have time to check out the lyrics. But I just realized that vocals would be the only instrument that I would need to listen to in two different ways. Every other instrument, I hear what they're playing and that's it. But with lyrics, I have to hear what they're playing and then check out what they're saying. It's two totally different things. Yeah, when I approach it that way, I wonder. Well, I mean, I was gonna say maybe I can wedge vocals in there. I can view it as a different voice, so I actually tune into them. But unlike all the other instruments, words are not something you can take out of context and get the full meaning. So if I'm not, if I'm only catching the last sentence of an entire verse, I really didn't get everything, did I? Unlike with the music, I can still hear how the music fits into the wider things, even if I'm focusing in down on the drums or something. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a blind spot for the channel, and I know it. It's been pointed out several times. Not knowing the lyrics, I'm missing some context to these songs. But it's just not something I can easily work in to the videos, even though my brain's still trying to figure it out. It's a puzzle. You just gotta solve it. One day you'll get the lyrics in there too, and then you'll understand everything, bruh. Uh, but yeah, so the second half of the song though constantly jumps back and forth between all sorts of different ideas, and it's constantly changing up. We get new timbres in here. We introduced sort of a spacey synth pad to replace the, like I said, digital flute almost sounding one. And we found the vocals doing new things. They were coming in different ways and, doing different kinds of harmonies and stuff like that. And then of course the outro was completely fresh. There was nothing else in the song quite like that outro. And I really like how the drums decided to open up at the end. For most of the song, they were fairly indie rock style drumming. Pretty light, not really going for heavy feel, and more so providing a metronome. They did have some really cool rhythmic elements in the way that it was lining up or juxtaposing other rhythmic elements from the other instruments, but for the most part, it was the metronome. It kept the time for everybody. At the end, though, in about the last minute or so, it really started to open up. We got some drum fills in there. We got some interesting drum patterns. I think one of the most interesting to me, not that it was hyper complex, but just the fact that it was chosen for the section. It was, I think, an open hi-hat, two hands, just doing a roll on that, shifting down to the snare, doing a roll on that, coming back up to the hi-hat. But it wasn't like 2 beats on the hi-hat, 2 beats on the snare, 2 beats. It felt random, right? Being that the song's called Idiot Heart, and this is the section where the bass kick begun to remind me of a heartbeat rapidly increasing, the randomness of this hi-hat and snare mixing it up really felt like heartbeat flutters, almost like starting to have a heart attack or heart palpitations or something like that. And I don't know if I'm just attributing that because of the song title or if that was an intentional decision to make. But like I said, it's the one part of the song where I really get heartbeat feelings from the drum part. And it's also the part of the song where the drums start to get a bit wild. They're no longer restrained. They're doing their own thing, doing these wild patterns and drum licks. We're gonna stick with drum patterns. Licks is definitely like a jazz thing. Not even for drum. Oh, you say? I don't know. I'm not gonna get on a tangent. We got to get on with this analysis. Um, but yeah, so that's definitely something I'm gonna request in the comments is a little bit of context into the lyrical themes, what the song is about lyrically, and maybe if there is this idea of racing heart or a racing heartbeat there at the end, because that's the notion I'm getting, but it also really doesn't fit in with the rest. I don't get elements of a heartbeat or heart racing or heart pumping or any of that through the rest of the song. It really is just there at the end. So I might just be reading into that. Now, also, this section at the end, it's not just the drums that are opening up, the guitars open up as well. We have them panned to both ears, and they're both doing their own things. One of them, I don't remember if one of them was doing chords or if they were just, playing maybe some foundational work, but I distinctly remember the left one was doing some really faster stuff. I don't remember if they were like doing runs or if they were just sticking to a note, but there was a lot of attacks. And I almost want to say that it was probably tremolo picking, but it was creating a lot of intensity. And that paired with what the drums were doing was, just kind of adds to this effect of tension, rising tension in this part of the song. Now, this rising tension is also amplified by what the vocals are doing. They are switching up between repeating the same section, the same sentence or something like that, maybe it's a couple sentences, and doing these wild vocalizations. Like, I think it was like O's, like, oh, whoa, oh, oh, or something like that. And basically, the first half of the song is very chill. We get these nice build-ups and breakdowns, but for the most part, there's rhythmic complexity, but they're chill songs. They're very indie rock, pop rock kind of atmosphere, and that last minute or so is extremely tense, and everything is lining up to provide this tension, this unease, this rising energy. I think the synthesizer even got a new uh, tone on it. We ditched that spacey synth for I don't remember, something fatter, maybe like a tuba sound if I remember right. Um, Anyways, just like a nice low warm tuba sound, maybe like a bassoon maybe. Um, and it was providing these stingers, just one note, bump, 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 and just really creating this strong sense of forward direction and movement. And I don't know, man, that ending was just like I said. Maybe I'm just reading into it, but there's just so much tension that isn't present at the beginning, and the bass kick just really reminds me of a heartbeat, and it just starts feeling like having a heart attack. It's a really cool outro, I would say. I don't like I said, I don't know how it fits in with the rest of the song other than pure contrast. Like I mentioned in the Lepers video earlier today, contrast is one of the best ways to create or amplify the impact of a section. If you want a loud section to feel loud, put it right up against the quiet one. It's going to feel even if you were already at this volume level before the quiet one. When you come out of the quiet one and hit it, it's going to sound louder because you were just used to something so much lower. So, in that sense, the beginning half of the song really lulls us into a false idea of calm and sort of chill. It's a nice relaxing atmosphere for the majority of this song up until in about a minute to go, minute and a half to go, and this tension and anxiety just start ramping up, and then there's so many layers. They start including pretty much every line or instrument that has appeared throughout the song, just constantly layering them up. Everybody's starting to play faster. We got some tremolo picking. The drummer is starting to open up and just constant 16th notes on whatever drum whatever drum he feels like hitting at that moment. I mentioned it was seemingly random to me when he was changing, what drum he was hitting. The bass started getting faster. We were doing quarter notes and eighth notes and 16th notes, and it's just a wild ending. And it hits so much harder because we weren't expecting it. Like I said, I wasn't even expecting the ending. I really felt like this was going to be a one note song that kind of extrapolated on a single idea and explored what they could do with a single foundational work. I really thought the song was going to be over somewhere in the 3 minute mark. So the entire ending caught me off guard, but for sure I was not ready for all that rising tension in a track that was rather pleasant to listen to for the most part. So yeah, I am interested. There's a lot of, like I said, indie rock or pop rock elements in here, but there's also a ton of experimentation. I don't quite know when this song came out, when this album came out. Um, I don't know if this is to be believed. It's June 2009, but I can't. The song is timeless to me. There's definitely elements of here that I'd be like, yeah, I could put this in the late 70s, early 80s, maybe even in the 90s. 2009, yeah, maybe I could see this being a late 2000s track. Some of the production's a little cleaner than I would give some of the older stuff, but it could also be a remastered version of some older stuff too. I could even see this being released yesterday. I think that's the weird thing about indie rock is that the sound of indie rock doesn't really evolve. It really fits into so many eras, and then the exploratory aspect of the song and really looking at different ways to engage with the music and change it up and do different things. I don't know. It's weird. It's this amorphous piece of music that could have existed in any time. Gideon, thank you for this. I am gonna have to check out more Sunset Rubdown. This is just, I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I don't know if I could necessarily listen to this every day. It's a little. It sits in this weird spot where it's a little too soft for the rock I listen to, but it's definitely close to the classical I listen to. It just doesn't have the oomph that a lot of classical music does. But I do want to see what else they're doing with their music. I think that's the thing. Their experimentation intrigues me, and I think they can do some really cool things. Just listening to this one song and kind of getting a feel for their writing style. Yeah. So Gideon and anybody else, a fan, hit me up with some suggestions on what to listen to next from Sunset Rubdown. Those are my thoughts, though, on Idiot Hearts. That's where you guys come in. Let me know what you thought of it, if you enjoyed it or not. If you have any context to let me know about. When you're done commenting, you can head up to the description box. There's a link in there for Linktree, which is a fantastic little menu that'll take you everywhere critical reactions related, such as the Twitter, the Patreon, the Discord community, all of it. Links for everything. There's like 11 links in there. If you want to see anything related to the channel, it's in there. Right above the description box, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow, as usual, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. We'll be looking at the next song from the next band from Norway, as well as another special selection. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.